6 seconds. Now you got to do something. Service from 15 feet away.
Welcome to Time Out with me, Chad Bell. Each week we showcase people's unique and personal journeys in sports. Often in sports, people only hear about the stories of perfection and believe that there is a formula to becoming a successful athlete. The stories you'll hear are just as great, realistic, and more importantly, attainable. We want to focus on empowering youth, coaches, athletes, and the everyday person to show that they can too overcome obstacles against all odds. This is Time Out with Chad Bell. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Time Out. Of course, I'm Chad Bell. I have my co-host here, Mr. Carlos Clemente.
Hey, everybody.
That's my OG. That's my OG.
OG?
OG is it's something that means like you're my big homie. You know.
Oh, okay.
You
See,
know, I
he
look
thinks
up.
I'm that old. I don't know what OG is. That's sad.
It's a good thing.
Okay. Young people, you know. Okay.
Hey, we bring the new school and the old school. We provide the best of both worlds.
I've been taught that I'm here in this world to help the young people.
Thank you so much, and I need the help, and I appreciate the help. We're excited, man. We have a great show here today. I think the listeners out there are going to really enjoy this. It's so much going on, not only in sports but just in the world. So listening to this show, I believe will really help some people and give them something to hear that will really inspire them.
That's the message. That's the message that I think we all should do every day, is just continue to take whatever knowledge we have, take our experiences, and share them with others so that all of us can learn. So that's how I look at it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we have so many aspects to offer from life, and talking to different people and having those discussions and hearing their stories and making that connection is huge. And I just want to just start it off. Like I said, we have a very, very special guest today. We'd like to introduce to you Mr. Joaquin Hawkins. Mr. Joaquin Hawkins, we're so excited to have you on the show. For the listeners out there, you might remember Mr. Joaquin Hawkins. He's a former NBA player, and he also played overseas many, many years. He has an illustrious career overseas. Welcome to the show, Joaquin. We thank you for coming on Time Out.
Thank you, Chad, man. It's a pleasure to be here. Like you guys said a little bit earlier, we all have our own journeys and things we've dealt with, and kind of share our stories. It can be, could be pretty inspirational for other people. So it's a pleasure for me to be here.
Absolutely, and we're really glad and excited to have you on the show. Joaquin, you looking good, man. It looks like you can still play a little bit.
Oh no, don't let the looks fool you, man. I just took a shower, put a hat on, but I got a little pot belly, and I'm 48 years young, so I'm not 21 years old anymore. So my time has come to pass, but I try to look the part at least.
Absolutely, man. Well, you look good, brother, man. And you know how it is when you get older and your basketball mind continues to mature. You can play that old man's game.
Absolutely, the Michael Jordan. Let me get you to the post and do the fall away. So it's definitely times of change as you get older, and you learn how to adapt.
Absolutely. Well, let's get into it a little bit. Let's talk about a little bit about your background, where you're from, where'd you grow up, and what was your focus in life, and what you set out with your life to do early on, starting your career.
Yeah, well, I'm originally from Linwood, California, not too far from Compton. My roots are Long Beach, Compton, Linwood area. Come from a single parent home. My mom and my grandmother and my uncles, they raised me, and I really just had one goal, is to be successful. I didn't know if I was going to be a professional athlete. I didn't know what line of work that I wanted to do once I got older, but I saw that the work that my mom and my grandmother put in, just to support me, and I just wanted to be successful. I wanted to give them something to be proud of. And as I started to get older, and I started to know pretty early that I was a little different as far as being an athlete. And then I was a three-sport athlete. Ended up playing basketball, obviously, football, ran track, even played a little baseball. So I kind of used my athleticism to kind of find out, how much success I can have in those areas. And it ended up being pretty good for me, because I ended up playing 14 years professionally, played in 5 different countries, and obviously had the chance to play in the NBA, which is a dream that came true.
Definitely. Well, man, shout out to Linwood, Compton, Long Beach. We're LA natives, so we very familiar with that territory and that area, and how enriched it is with culture and sports, so on and so forth. I just learned something about you. I didn't realize that you were a three sport athlete growing up. That's pretty amazing. Just talk to us about how you started to, get involved with sports. And like I said, I'm very familiar with the area you come from. For the listeners out there, Linwood is a very, very tough community. It's a lot going on, a lot of good people there, but it's a lot of happenings there in terms of, drugs, gangs, so on and so forth,
absolutely.
violence, so on and so forth. Elaborate a little bit about that for the audience.
Yeah, man. I mean, you said it. I lived probably about 100 yards from Long Beach Boulevard. And, during that time, I mean, unfortunately still now, I mean, you had, and I hate to say it, you have prostitutes and gang affiliation.
Mm-hmm.
You have the, robberies. I mean, it's happened in broad daylight. So you have a lot of things that's going on, and people just trying to survive. And, I was one of those people. My parents, my mom and my grandmother, we were one of those people that were just trying to survive. And I wanted to use, what my gift was to figure out what was best for me, instead of doing the opposite of, just being, I didn't want to be negative. And so very early on, track, became my first sport. I was tall and I had these long legs, and my mom would always tell me go outside and play. So I just found myself running all the time. Me and my friends, playing tag and just, running around the neighborhood. And so I was able to use that to, compete in meets. And really early on, around 8 or 9 years old, I had this thing. I wanted to be the next Jesse Owens. I wanted to do all the events that he did, the 100, the 400 relay, the 400, as well as the long jump. And so I did that, 8, 9, 10 years old, won a lot of awards, but it felt like I was missing something. And what I was missing is that I wanted to try different sports. So I continued to play, ran track, but I got into football out of all sports. And I remember being 10 years old. I probably was about 5'8", 5'9" as a 10-year-old. And I wanted to be the next Earl Campbell as far as football. So I wanted to play running back, which I did. But I was, 5'9", probably about 100 pounds, soaking wet. So I was able to use the fact that, again, I was a good athlete, as far as my running and sprinting. And then, my coach wanted me to play offense and defense. Well, I didn't know too much about football, but I just knew that the object is not to get hit. So me playing football, playing running back, of course, that's the object. They got to go ahead and tackle the guy with the ball. So, but anyway, I ended up becoming a pretty good defensive back. And so now I could do some hitting. So I got really, aggressive and learned more about the game of football. And, around 11, I thought about I wanted to play in the NFL. That was my thing. I was like, okay, I don't want to run track anymore, but I want to play in the NFL. And so I played 2 years, 10, 11, and 12 years old, played with my football team. My uncle, rest in peace, Charles Johnson, he was my football coach, but he's also my life mentor. And so he just kept saying, man, I think you can play basketball. You know, I played at junior college, and I think you have the tools. And I just said, well, I need to know about basketball. I don't know anything about, you know, shooting. I knew I was a good defender. And so he taught me just in my backyard, you know, how to shoot the ball. And so I finally went out for my first tryout basketball team. And it was in Carson, the city of Carson. And so he would drive me from Linwood all the way to the city of Carson to play at this league. And it was at Victoria Park. And Izzy Washington, I know a lot of people from LA, they really are familiar with the Slam and Jam League.
Yes, shout out to Izzy Washington, rest in peace.
Absolutely. Yeah, rest in peace to Izzy Washington. But a lot of guys that end up playing the NBA, they played in the Slam and Jam League. Baron Davis, obviously, Tracy Murray, his brother, a lot of guys from LA. One of my best friends, one of my coaches in my program, Dwayne Cooper, he played in the NBA as well. So this was like the league to be a part of. And again, I'm young to the game, 12 years old. You know, this time I'm probably about 6'1" as a 12-year-old. And I, you know, the game of basketball came very, very natural to me. Again, I wasn't a very good shooter or anything like that, but just me in terms of learning. I was a quick learner, and I just loved to compete. And so, you know, playing as a 12 and 13-year-old, I had a different aspiration. I was like, you know what, if I keep working, who knows, maybe I can play professionally and maybe play in the NBA. And, right. But I always kept my roots of playing football and running track during track season. And I tried baseball for 1 year, but, you know, I remember being a pitcher, and I ended up trying to strike out one of the superstars of the league. His name is Ed O'Bannon, and I remember hitting him in the back, of the shoulder. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and end my baseball career before it even starts, because I don't think that's the sport for me. So, but anyway, I continued to play basketball and football until I got to high school, and that's when I was able to, you know, go to Linwood High School and continue to play football and basketball until I got my scholarship at Long Beach State.
Wow, that's quite an interesting story, how you traveled and found where you really wanted to be at in terms of the sport you wanted to play. And sounds like your uncle, you know, he saw that talent in you early on, which led you to basketball. So let's talk a little bit about college a little bit. So you said you went to Linwood High School. You had success there, and then you end up at Long Beach State. So yeah. So at Long Beach State, what was that experience like, and how did that go in terms of your playing career at Long Beach State?
Well,
and why did you choose Long Beach State? I'm sorry.
Yes, that's a great question. Well, you know, being at Linwood High School, as you said, it was a tough environment for me to be in. But, you know, I've had some success playing in sports. In Linwood, they were known to have some really good teams, girl teams and boys teams over the years. And even though it was a tough environment, I mean, it was a good environment as far as the basketball part of it. The athlete that were there, they were very successful going on to play the Division I basketball. And so my sophomore year, I played with Ernest Killam, rest in peace. He was one of the top players in the state of California, McDonald's All-American. And, you know, I was sophomore, he was a junior. And, you know, I had a little immaturity, and I can admit it now, pretty immature, where he was getting all these accolades, but I was doing all the work. Well, some of the work, getting all the rebounds and, you know, hustling, but getting the ball to him. And then, of course, at the end of the game, he's in the newspaper. So at that time, I'm thinking, you know, why can't I get any love? You know, I'm a pretty good player too. So that was my fuel. that was my inspiration, is that, it seemed like I always had to prove something. And so I remember our senior year, we played in the CIF championship, and he had fouled out of the game. And this is like the best game of my life. CIF championship at this time, we were, I think, 29-2. We only lost 2 games that whole year. And, the scouts are inside. Was at that time, it was where the the Clippers used to play at. It was the sports arena. Yeah. It was a sports arena. And I remember all these scouts, college scouts that was there to see him. And he ended up fouling out. Only had 13 points. And I remember him coming to me and said, "Hawk, this is your time now." And it was like, I don't know. It kind of stunned me, because it was like, as much as I wanted that, was I really prepared for this moment? But, I didn't have no time to think, because it was 5 minutes to go in the game and we were only up by 1 point. And so I wanted to have that will to win and really capture a championship, not only for my team, but, for my school and my city. And I played one of the best games I ever had. And, the scouts were there to see him. He wasn't on the court, and, I was at a chance to prove to them that, I was also, able to possibly get a scholarship from their institution. So long story short, man, we ended up losing the game by 1 point at the buzzer. And I remember crying on the court, and he comes to me and he was like, "Hawk, you did well, man. So, be proud of your effort and your energy." And I always remember that, he just kept saying, "Just be proud of your effort and energy. It may not come out the way you wanted to, but your effort and energy, says a lot about you as a person." Hey. And, that was a good indication for me of how I need to live my life. And I didn't know it during that time, but I do know that was part of the reason why, I always stayed motivated in life. And so I ended up getting a scholarship at Long Beach State. And they were there. Long Beach State wanted to sign him, but he had, signed at Oregon State. And so they were able to see me there. I got a scholarship offer, and, pretty unique of the reason why I selected Long Beach State. And it wasn't just because of them recruiting me, because I did get recruited from a few other schools. It was more so my grandmother was actually on her deathbed. I went to go visit the University of Drake. I think it was like a Thursday or Friday. And I got a call while I was in Iowa visiting Drake, and my mom said, "You have to come home. Your grandmother's sick." And so I didn't know, when they say sick, I'm thinking she had maybe a head cold or just not feeling well, but she was in the hospital. And so I remember going from the airport directly to the hospital. And as I got there, my uncle and my mom, they were crying, and they was like, "Well," and I still remember the words that they said, "When you go into the room, she's not going to be the way you've seen her before you left." And my grandma was always energetic. I always tease her because she would always curse like she was a sailor. And so just a lot of life. And so I was expecting that when I went into this room, and she was not. She was barely coherent. She was laying down, and you can tell she lost her energy. She lost so much weight. And I've only been gone for a few days. And so she wasn't even able to talk. And so I remember, of course, I was emotional walking into the room, and all I could say is, "Grandma, I've decided I'm gonna go to Long Beach State." I don't know what made me say Long Beach State, but I said, "I decided I'm gonna go to Long Beach State because I want for you and the rest of the family to be, close near to me, so you guys can come see me play." And I remember her kind of mustering up, to clear her voice. And she just said, I know, baby. I know where you're going. I'm so proud of you." And so, again, I remember getting emotional. And then she just, I guess they called it cold blue, where her eyes rolled back. And I remember holding her, and my mom ran in, and she was crying. And the doctors were said, "You guys going to have to leave. We have to do some work on her." And I knew at that moment she was gone. But, for her to have those last words with me, and she knew that I was going to Long Beach State, I was obviously only obligated, fulfill that dream, and I did. And so I ended up going to Long Beach State, and I played my college basketball there. I was able to receive my degree. my 4th year there, and I played my senior year as a graduate student. So not only I went to Long Beach State and played basketball, but I was able to get my degree and play my senior year as a graduate student.
Joaquin,
Yeah.
you mentioned your grandmother. It's Grandma
Yeah.
Tweet, right?
Yes, it is.
All right.
Grandma Tweet.
See, I looked it up, man.
I
I
know you
want to make
did.
sure I got her right. All right, going through after she left, how much of an influence has she remained in your life as you've moved on to the NBA and beyond?
Yeah, great question. She is my part of my reason why I'm living, right now. Obviously, I have a wife and 3 daughters now, and that's the other part of why I'm living and why I do what I do. But, my grandmother, to see her from birth. I mean, again, I was in a house with my grandmother, my mom, and my 3 uncles. 2 of my uncles went on, they got married. One of them went to the Army. The other one got married and was his family. So it was me, Uncle Charles, my mom, and my grandmother. So I'm seeing them every day, them waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning. My mom, driving all the way to, I think it was LA. My grandmother driving to like Westminster. My mom's taking a bus, as a matter of fact, to get to work. So I saw the work ethic that they put in just for us to have anything. My grandmother was very inspirational for me because no matter what I did, she just said, just do your best. Just do your best. You can't please everybody what you do. You can't satisfy, yourself all the time of things that you want to do in your life, but you can always do your best. And so I kept that, with me, especially the times when I had my stroke. I mean, it was totally something that I would never expect and really never want for anyone to go through. But, her words of wisdom, her way of life, it still sticks with me today. And that's one thing I try to instill into my own kids and also the kids in my program.
Welcome back to Time Out. We're sitting here with Joaquin Hawkins having a great conversation about his career, his upbringing, how he got into basketball. Joaquin, so let's fast forward a little bit and go to when you made the NBA. Back in 2002, 2003 season, you got an opportunity with the Houston Rockets. Me being a former player myself, I understand that sometimes that's a journey to get to where you were at. You were the second at the time. You were the second oldest rookie. So I'm guessing this is just me putting pieces together. You probably played overseas. You might have played in the CBA at the time. I don't know if the Development League was installed then. Talk about that opportunity that you got.
Yeah, it was the best opportunity I think that I ever could imagine. I played in the CBA. I played in the IBL. I played overseas in 5 different countries. So I had a lot of experience, but I didn't have that quote unquote NBA experience. And so Scotty Brooks was my coach the year before I made the NBA when I played in the ABA. And he made a call to Houston Rockets. And I remember getting that call of, Joaquin Hawkins, we want to bring you to Houston to try out for our team. And, of course, I'm excited. But I knew this is my 3rd time. I tried out with the Lakers. I didn't make it. I tried it with the Clippers. I didn't make it. So the 3rd time, I was reluctant. But, I know, like they say, sometimes the 3rd time is a charm. And so I took that opportunity. I made the best out of it. And I remember going into camp. They had told me I was only going to be there for 2 weeks. And I would have to beat out 4 players in order to have a chance to make the team. And I remember saying to myself, that's all I need is an opportunity. And so every week, someone else was being released from the team. And by week 4, I found myself and another player there. And obviously, the record speaks for itself. I was able to stay on the team. I played the entire season, even started the first 10 games, and had my career high against Michael Jordan.
Okay.
That's something I'm always proud of.
Carlos again. All right. So you mentioned Michael Jordan. You played a bunch of other greats. You haven't played Chad yet. But we're going to arrange that, okay? One-on-one.
I'm ready, though. I'm ready.
Okay. All right. What was it like going against some of the great players of the NBA?
Ah, man, again, a dream come true. Allen Iverson, Tracy McGrady, obviously Michael Jordan, Shaq. I had a chance to play not only with superstars, but Hall of Famers. And, to be a kid from Linwood, California, coming from a single parent home, I wasn't drafted. So, it was everything I can imagine and some. And probably the most thing I'm most proud of is even during the games and after games, I remember Scottie Pippen coming to me, and I was 29 years old during that time. So I was kind of what they call an old head. And I remember him even saying, old head, man, you're pretty good. And, but just to have those little acknowledgement from players like that, it meant a lot to me, because I knew it took me almost 9 or 10 years just to not only be ready, but to, to show the NBA community that I was capable. So it was definitely a dream that came true, and something I'll always be proud of.
Absolutely. Just to have that experience and have that opportunity. A lot of people don't understand just the steps it takes to get to that point, and being able to have those opportunities playing in the league after playing in the IBL, the ABA, the CBA, overseas, so on and so forth. So let's talk a little bit about your situation in 2008. So you're in the heart of your career. You're playing excellent basketball.
Right.
Things are going well from you. You got NBA on your resume, and then boom, you suffered a stroke. What was that like? And can you describe what happened to you, and how you had to respond to that situation?
Yeah, I'll try to give you the short version. I mean, that's why I wrote a book, which is called The Stroke of Grace. It talks about it all in detail. But it was something that I wouldn't want. And I know how it feels to have a stroke now. And I really have a sympathy for stroke survivors, because sometimes they don't heal 100%. And, thank God I survived, and, I'm still here. But my situation was obviously pretty unique. I had a basketball game the night before, New Year's Eve. We played well. We won the game, and I woke up the next morning, went to brush my teeth, and all of a sudden I got a tingly feeling on my fingertips, and it went from my fingertips to my palm to my entire arm, where I couldn't feel anything in my arm. Not thinking that I'm having a stroke. I'm thinking I'm just dehydrated. I'm tired. So I went to go lay back down in the bed, but it's something in the back of my mind. I thought about, something going on with, my mind or my brain. And I kind of thought about a stroke, but I didn't know. I didn't know really the symptoms, other than I know that at that time, your face is sagging sometimes, or part of your body is not working. That's all I knew about a stroke. So I remember standing up to go look in the mirror to kind of see if my face was disfigured. And when I smiled, I could tell the muscles on my right side of my face, it was like no movement. And so I knew something was wrong. I was very terrified to see my face that way. So going to lay back down, I'm thinking I just can take some time to kind of get my thoughts together. But I kept thinking about what I just saw in the mirror. So as I stood back up to go see if my face was still disfigured, I had no feeling on my entire right side. So I collapsed to the ground, and now I'm in this hotel room in Australia by myself, and I can't move. And it was one of the worst experiences that I ever had, because I actually thought I was going to die, not knowing if someone was going to come and check on me. And so, with all the energy I had, I was looking at the door, and I was like, I have to find a way to get over to that door. So I had to muster up the will to get myself together. And I remember limping to the bed, limping to the door, kind of like holding my leg and holding my arm, so I wouldn't fall. And as soon as I got to the door, I opened the door, and there was nobody there. And again, my mind wasn't really working. And so I limped back over to the bed, and I kind of just, kind of gave up. And I was like, okay, what's next? Because I can't move. I can't think. So anyway, long story short, my roommate came in. He asked me, why am I not downstairs with the rest of the team? And I couldn't talk. I couldn't even tell him what just happened to me. And I was able to kind of utter the words doctor. And I remember stuttering when I said it. And so he ran to get the coach and our team assistant to try to help me. And it was a really trying experience for me because I ended up having to take a flight after that, because after they did some assessments with me, they didn't feel like there was anything wrong. And my coach was telling me, we only got, another hour to get to the airport so we can take this flight. This is the last flight of the day so we can go to the next city so we can play. And so I was told I had to go on a flight after having a stroke. And that's why I kind of go in details of, obviously it's not a good idea to get on a flight, or you got to get help immediately. You got to get to a doctor within 3 hours of having a stroke. And it took me almost 24 hours before I got to the hospital and was finally diagnosed with having a stroke.
Yeah. Now, it's Carlos again.
Mm-hmm.
You go through all this, and then you find out that your career is essentially over.
Yeah.
All right. And I know mentally you keep thinking, no, I can still do this, but your body has told you different.
Absolutely.
You went through a lot of things, even homelessness, some really tough times. So how did you remain focused?
Yeah.
Your grandmother, I'm sure
Absolutely.
that thought came back to you, but
Yeah.
how are you keeping focused now? The fact that you had a stroke, I know it comes back. It comes back and you think about it sometimes.
Yeah.
So what is your focus now?
Well, my focus is just the will to live and have a healthy life for my kids. I have 3 daughters, Sky, Maya, and Khalees. And, obviously they're my world. And my wife, she's been in my life since we were 9th graders. We went to the same high school, the same college. And, to still be with her, 20 plus years, she felt, fed up with me. A lot of things I did, I'm sure she had her time that she wanted to leave, but at the end of the day, the love that we have for each other, the connection that we have to have something for our kids, and just for me personally, have the love for life. I know there's so many other people that are dealing with situations like I had, and they don't know how to deal with it. I know other people that have even situations that are worse, and they're doing the best they can to deal with it. And I just wanted to be an example. I wanted to be an example of no matter what you go through. I was homeless with my mom, my wife, my 3 daughters. We were living in a hotel room. I'm feeding them Taco Bell every night, not knowing what I'm gonna do because I'm not playing professional basketball anymore. I just had a stroke. We lost our house, lost my car, and I had to figure it out. And I knew that if I can get through this, I could be that example for somebody else, that example for my kids, for more than anything, to let them know Daddy's not going to be here all the time, but you have my story, you have my life. And, if you know that I can get through it, then, you can get through almost anything in your own life.
So the ball stopped bouncing for you, like all athletes, and they stop bouncing sometimes for different reasons.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for you, you had a stroke. So
Yeah.
now, let's talk about your life after you actively being a player. You wrote a book. Let's talk a little bit about that book.
Yeah. Well, the book is a memoir and it's a journey that I've went through to get to where I'm at right now. Coming from a single parent home in Linwood, Compton, California, to having the chance to play high level high school basketball, having the chance to go to college and play Division I basketball, getting my degree, traveling the world, playing in Taiwan, China, Japan, Philippines, Australia, and then unfortunately having a stroke when I'm thinking I'm at the peak of my career. And I tried to go back to play basketball after my stroke for about a year. I was able to get myself together enough to go back. But as you said earlier, my mind and my body were saying 2 different things. And I knew that it was time for me to shift my focus. And the one thing that I'm very grateful for, even though I only had 1 year in the NBA, that 1 year, it really taught me a lot about myself. And I didn't realize, once you make the NBA, having those 3 letters behind your name, it means a lot. And I was a inspiration immediately for for little kids that didn't know I had a stroke. They didn't know that I was homeless. And that's why I started my Hawk Hoops program. I started doing some personal training. Not only I needed to support my family, but I had to find, I had to reinvent myself, and I was able to use that. And people wanted to get trained by a guy that played in the NBA. I knew when I was 10 and 12 years old, I wanted to be taught and trained by someone that had that type of experience. And I remember in the matter of a year, after emotionally I got myself away from not being an athlete anymore, I started doing training, and it went from 1 player to 10 players to 30 players. And I'm having a session, I got 50 people, and they want me to teach them how to dribble the basketball, how to shoot, and really how to stay motivated and do all the little things that's needed to be an athlete. And so my business, it grew. And, now I'm 11, 12 years in, and I went from having 1 or 2 youth basketball teams to now I have 24 different youth basketball teams. And we have almost 300 kids, close to 300 kids in our program right now. So it's been a long journey, but a journey that I'm very thankful for. And, we're just very happy to see that I've been able to make some progress since those moments of having a stroke.
How does someone get involved with your program?
Well, they can contact me. They can go to our website, hawkhoops.org. And they also can follow me on Instagram, Coach Hawk 247. Also, you can contact me at 562-318-7044. And again, we teach the fundamentals of basketball. We do track. We do tournaments throughout the weekend, and we do basketball practice throughout the week. And we also have a new manager that I work with, and the name of our other program, I should say, our tournaments is called AVAC. And so we also run tournaments. So not only we have the basketball lessons, we also have the tournaments for them to participate in. And so they can contact us through Instagram or the number that I just said.
Awesome. What message are you delivering the youth that you work with?
Yeah. Well, for one, you have to be willing to adapt. We know life is not perfect. As I said earlier, everything you want doesn't happen when you want it. But if you're able to adapt to it, it's so easy to get frustrated when things don't go your way. I was that person. Every time I work so hard to get something, it doesn't happen, and you're mad, you're disappointed. But if you're learning to adapt, because everything is a learning lesson, and you can learn from some of the mistakes you make, you can learn from some of your greatest disappointments. And so I just tell not only our kids, but even the parents, be focused, but understand that you can change, or that situation can change, and just adapt to it. And obviously working hard is something you always want to do. You want to be passionate about what you do. But again, being able to adapt has been my way of life, from having a stroke and coming from the neighborhood I came from. And I think that's where a lot of people will have more success, if they're willing to accept that it's okay that I just failed. Let me do a little bit better, and let me maybe change my focus so that I can have better success.
When you, these are words that I'm describing, how I describe you: courage, tenacity, dedication to life. You've done that with the book. How can people get your book?
Yes. They can go to strokeofgrace.org. They can actually order your book there, and actually I will sign the book and send it to them myself. You can also get it on Amazon, but I'm doing something a little bit special for people to actually go to my website. I'll sign the book, give you a little inspirational message. So that'll be strokeofgrace.org. Or again, you can contact me at 562-318-7044, and I can be able to, to get your information and send a book out to you.
Absolutely. Joaquin, you've been awesome. You've been an amazing guest. Just hearing about his story, growing up in Linwood, being in the Compton area, Long Beach area, going to Linwood High School, having some success there, and being able to have an opportunity for a black young man to go to a 4-year college and get its degree, and then start working on your graduate degree, getting your graduate degree, and then having an opportunity to travel all across the world. That is amazing. And just that in itself, purely on basketball, that's inspiring, especially for youth. And then backing it up with your story, going through a situation where you had a stroke, where you have adversity. For you kids out there listening, it's not always going to be perfect. Even though you have your goals, we all have our goals, and we want to achieve those goals. But sometimes there's bumps in the roads, and your bump was a stroke, and you're doing an amazing job. Sharing your story with your book. Working with the youth. This is what this show is for, the youth. So Hawks Hoops, make sure you guys check them out. And if you're in that area and you need training, you got somebody. You got somebody that played in the league, played overseas, and this is what it's all about. And I just want to tip my hat to you, brother, and give you a special shout out and thank you for coming on the show. I want to thank all of our lovely listeners out there, those people out there listening, to the youth out there, to the coaches, to the basketball fans, enthusiasts, people about the game. We just want to thank you. I want to send a special shout out to our sponsors. One of our sponsors, Handcuffs and Handkerchiefs, HH Brand Clothing. You can reach them at 2hclothing.com. I'm Chad Bell. You can reach me at Coach C Bell. That's on Instagram, on Twitter. My co-host Carlos. Where can they reach you at?
I don't know. Sometimes sometimes I hide.
I'll help
so I don't know.
You can reach Carlos on IG at carlos.j.clemente. That's where they can find you at. Hit them up, send them a DM, bug them a little bit.
But, it's a pleasure and an honor to meet you, sir. And since you're in the area, I think a good thing for the kids is to see Chad Bell take on an OG and see how he holds up.
That's right. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Also, hashtag timeout with Chad Bell. You guys have been great. I'll move to leave you with this. For the youth listening out there, continue to work and continue to take each step on your journey. There will be ups, there will be downs, but continue to push forward. And I'm going to leave you with that. This was Time Out with Chad Bell. Talk to you soon. Love you guys. Peace and blessings.
Okay.